Got that dub Monday, baby. 3-0 with the Chiefs. It is 12 noon, and that means it's Daily Fix time, baby. Daily Fix with your host, Ron Hughley. And this is presented by Foolish Club Media. As always, as you see there in that little box, he's a little dark, so he's a little hidden there a little bit. There's a little mystery. Damn
Like
it.
it turned on a lamp or something. I didn't think
I
about
feel
it.
like there's a little mystery there. There's Steve Serta in the building with us as always. And again, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you listening all over Foolish Club. I'm telling you, man, we almost got to 2K last night on the post game show. Check it with Serta right there in the little box and Rocky every single post game after the Chiefs play, and it was big time. But we appreciate you all. First thing I want to do is thank everybody taking this in right now. If you're listening to us on Twitter, hello. We appreciate you, baby. If you're listening to this on YouTube, same thing to you. First thing I need you to do, however, is head to Foolish Club Media and like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. If you do not do so, you will be preventing my 3 children from being able to eat. So pressure on that. So we appreciate you joining us and hanging out with us. Ain't gonna hold you long, as we always talk about coming up. I don't know. I mean, obviously there are ways you can imagine somebody having a worse week, but this has to be pretty much right up there with an NFL player. And this dude is a warrior. We always talk about his negatives, but my goodness. And when I say warrior, I think this dude has a legit chance down the line to be a Hall of Famer. That might sound a little crazy. We'll get to that. But Steve, give me my 2 minutes. These jokers, sort of, they just find ways to win. They're the opposite of what the Royals are doing. The Royals right now are in the midst of their second 7-game losing streak in about a month, and are doing everything they can to just absolutely Harlem shake themselves right up out this playoffs. I mean, trying to choke. Has the final homestand and they go 0-6 in it. I mean, they find ways to lose. The Chiefs are the opposite. I mean, clearly, like, they didn't do anything that we asked. We said on this pod, on the pod with Show and BK, we talked about this on this show every single day last week. They didn't do anything we asked. What do we come in here? Hey, all right, I gave a pep talk Friday. Hey now, Pat. Hey, now the margin for error is not the same. We need you to lock in a little bit more with the losses of Pacheco and Hollywood Brown. I'm not sure if you can and the team can get away with you just having bad plays and bad throws. No, he did it. Stared down Noah Bray and said, "Hey, Justin Simmons, go catch this." Stared him down and threw a poor throw. He was off all night. That should have been a touchdown to Xavier Worthy in the middle of the field. Rashee Rice should have had first downs, extending drives. He was off. Said, "Hey, let's get Travis Kelce involved. Let's get 87 involved." I guess he was involved better than any other game this year, but it was still 4 for 30. He was sitting there 2 catches for 4 yards, pissing off my son who drafted him number 1 in his fantasy team. I've said, "Hey, what else do we talk about? Hey, Kingsley, he needs to start." Nope. Didn't play a snap. Oh, I'm sorry. He did come in as an extra lineman a couple of times. Wanya did what he needed to do. And Steve, yet they go on the road playing what we all know not to be anywhere close to an A game and figuring it out and finding a way to win. Like, these dudes, it is insane how they do this every single week. Every week, they just find a way. You're more shocked that they lose it.
I think they have been finding ways to do this for years now, where it seems like
It's like they get off to it.
Yeah, they're uninterested in the regular season, but they're so talented that they can put C games out there and still find ways to win. And it's not unlike the Patriots dynasty, where we saw them do that over and over again throughout the years, because their room for error was just higher than everybody else's. And the Chiefs are just exactly like that now, where it seems like they can put a C game out there and they still find a way to win. And part of it is because the defense has so many playmakers now.
Yeah, it's just, as you said, man, you can clearly see that their interest level Like, I think obviously they're doing just enough. I think they want to have a high seed. They obviously want to win the division. I think they want to get a high seed. They'd like to host the whole thing like they've done before. But you can tell they're not locked in. I mean, Travis called his best play of the season and just did a small little first down. Did a small little first down thing. You know, when Travis is locked in, that thing might get flung all the way to the goal line, and he might run 10 yards to let everybody know how he is. So, I mean, it's just crazy to me, man, how they just find, as I said, it's like they are challenging themselves. What can we do this week? I would love to see them just, win convincingly, and you could just breathe. All right. I got to get here, man. You talked about this defense has so many playmakers, and this to me is clearly one of them. I heard Chris Collinsworth, who Rocky hates, say last night, like, this guy's the quarterback of the defense, and he is. And I have long since, we've talked about it on here for years. We've talked about it on Show and BK that he is just underappreciated. They need to go ahead and find a contract and make sure he gets paid. But Nick Bolton is a champion and clearly always finds a way to make championship level plays. He was injured. I'll be honest, he had some struggles, and he was put in coverage a few times during the first two games and had some struggles. But last night, there is a real argument that Nick Bolton was the best player on the field. Now, I know Rashid Rice may have like to have a word, but there was a real argument, everything he did, and it concluded with him reading and making that final play on Bijan Robinson and shutting and ending the game as he made multiple plays throughout. I take it this far, Steve, and this may sound a little wild to me, but this is a guy that has a chance to get to Canton. And especially if he continues with playing with the Chiefs and he is in this dynasty, I see you smirking. He's got a chance to be the Teddy Bruschi of the dynasty. The guys that kind of get drug along with dynasties that are really good, that make the Hall of Fame, but wouldn't make the Hall of Fame if he played for Browns. Like Ted Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Ty Law's a questionable one. I don't know that I always thought Ty Law was, a bona fide Hall of Famer. Nick Bolton, if he continues, because he led the playoffs in tackles. He has done this in huge games. We have memories of him in the Super Bowl scoring a touchdown as he picked one up against the Eagles and making a huge play and scoring in the Super Bowl. He's got a chance, if he continues to play on this team and the Chiefs continue this dynasty, he most definitely has a chance to be the Ted Bruschi, the Ty Law type of guys that slide into the Hall of Fame on dynasty teams. Like, he is exceptional, man. He is huge for this team.
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think that.
Oh, so you thought it was crazy at first. Is that what the smirk was for? That's
yes,
what the laugh was for?
Because I think Nick Bolton is an extremely underappreciated player during this Kansas City Chiefs run. A guy who's been a day one starter for them and has been awesome and has been a key cog in the Chiefs defense over the last several years. But, I don't think that he's a top 3 linebacker in football or anything like that. But you are right. Like, the Patriots had a lot of guys like that where you can make the case like they aren't Hall of Famers, but they just win and they're champions. And I am interested to see how they manage his contract this offseason, because he's going to want to get paid like he's one of the 5 best players at the position in the NFL. And I don't know if he is that, but he is certainly important to the Chiefs defense.
Serta, if we're talking about inside linebackers, like, he's 24, Steve. How long? I would say the last 2, definitely 2 for me. I think there's an argument for 3. But the last 2 to 3 years, he's been a top 5 inside linebacker. Like, I understand, like, it's hard. You feel like it because we see the negative and we focus on that so much with him. But you start rattling off the names. There's the Roquan Smith. Yes. Right? Like, those guys, but how many other guys here in the last 2 to 3 years honestly, when you look at it, if you sit there and say the impact, have been better than him at that position. And he's 24. And I'm saying over the next 8 years, if he is here and they continue this dynasty and he continues to do things like we just saw there and make plays like last night, like he's going to be one of those. The Chiefs are going to get, if they continue this dynasty, they're going to get more than Andy, Pat, Travis, and Chris in.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been awesome. Like he has been extremely underrated, but I still think it's a long shot, but rings go a long way in that conversation.
I'm just saying, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm saying he's got a real chance if he stays there and they continue on that dynasty. Now, you want to call me a hater today? All right, this is I feel so bad for this kid, man. This had to be a terrible week for Brock. For Bryce Young, and those of you out there who have, Jesus, man, I feel so bad for the guy, man. I mean, Bryce
you're out rooting for Andy Dalton and that performance he put together yesterday.
Good for Andy, man. I'm happy for it. It's just the Bryce situation, man. If you look at his week, clearly, when you're in delusions like Bryce was, who was blindsided by Monday's decision that they are going to move off of him and bench him, he never saw it coming. So if you're living in that level of delusion that Bryce Young never saw a benching coming, that's a bad place to be in. And then making matters worse, his ex, that I'm sure he could really love to lean on in so many different fashions of life right now, a shoulder and even more to cry on. She has recently been spotted with 76ers Tyrese Maxey, who just got paid and who is in a better place as a star in his sport than Bryce. And then the first time we get to see somebody else be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers under Canales, it's Andy Dalton, who nobody thinks is anybody's good quarterback right now, comes in and throws for 319 passes and 3 touchdowns and immediately drives them right down the field on the Raiders, who went on the road and beat the Ravens last week. Walks right down the field and scores a touchdown easy. The team, the offense looks completely different. Like they look like they belong in the NFL as whatever the thing they were looking like last year, and that immediately when Bryce Young leaves and Andy Dalton enters, they just scored. They scored touchdowns. Like they scored 3 of them. They had 21 points in the first half. I didn't think they could do that, and that looks awful for Bryce. Just terrible.
Yeah, they didn't look like an NFL offense with Bryce Young as their starting quarterback, and Andy Dalton, even though he is not a great player, is a serviceable NFL quarterback. We have a large sample size of Andy Dalton doing that, and we have a large sample size of Dave Canales being a good offensive play caller. Bryce Young was the reason that team was absolutely awful for the first 2 weeks.
Clearly looks that way.
Looked totally incompetent.
Like you said that Andy looks like at least somewhat of a quality NFL quarterback, which would make us lead to believe that Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick that you traded everything for, is not at all right now. Good God. That was a bad look for him. I'm Ben Cutney.